What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for tuning in to another live episode of the Live Free podcast. Let's give Charles a call here.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
What's up, Charles? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Can you give me a minute or two? I'm going to change places.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
I'm going to get the Ustream set up here.
Okay. Can I listen to you talk?
Ooh, your volume is bad. Or not the volume, but...
Been acting pretty weird. Listen to.
Do you want to try to restart?
Is that better?
Say something again?
Yeah, let me reboot it, see what happens, and I'll call you when I.
Just try quitting Skype and calling me. Could you hear me?
Say it again?
Just try quitting Skype and then calling me back.
Okay, yeah.
Alright, sorry about that, you streamers. I'll put my face on my face. Or wait, I could probably just take the picture on, picture out. This painting's done behind me. Been working on this thing on the Ustreams for a while. I don't have the chat set up, so I don't know if anyone is... I got a tweet. Let's see what it was. I had some sound issues last time, but I think I got it taken care of now. Alright, here's Charles now. What's up, Charles? Let's hope for the best this time.
Okay. How's that? Is that cool?
I think we sound good.
Okay.
Alright, let me set... I'm going to put you back in picture. So you can't see me, but the Ustream can see me.
Okay. So if I Ustream you, I can see you.
Yeah, which will also be like... it's like a 30-second delay.
Okay.
As well, so it'll be totally weird. But if you feel like looking at me, you're more than welcome to.
Sure, you're not that bad. You're not that bad looking.
Are you going to put your face on the screen? Your painting's up there now. It looks pretty cool, too.
I could put my actual mug on it. My face.
Yeah, you
want to stream that?
Yeah, you should do that.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can switch back and forth, too, if you felt like it. There it is. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man?
Thanks for taking the time to do the show.
No problem. Sorry for the late reply and getting back to you.
I know. I knew I would get you on sooner or later. Let me turn this up a little bit. We had talked, I think, like around my 5th episode or 6th episode, and now you're episode number 49.
Wow. Yeah, I've been when you were posting them on Facebook, I was checking them out.
I still try to post them up there. I kind of lag at posting the actual MP3s up there. I just try to post the links to the iTunes to try to make people go over there and listen.
Uh-huh.
Because then it boosts up the iTunes numbers.
Okay, that's cool.
And I get some false sense of achievement by like having like a ranking number on something official like iTunes, which is totally silly. But I do it anyway.
That's cool. Well, as soon as this is done, give me the. I don't have your address. iTunes. Should probably look.
If you just search my name if you search Mike Maxwell in the iTunes store or Live Free Podcast. Here's one of the issues. I chose the name Live Free Podcast, not really thinking that most of the podcasts on iTunes are free and a good portion of them are recorded live. So using live and free is which, my podcast is Live Free, but if you just take the word, it could be live, obviously. And use those as tags. It's not the best like catchphrases to get people to find the website or to find the actual podcast, But if you search Mike Maxwell, it pops up in the iTunes store.
Okay.
We'll make it happen. And let me preface this. Most of the podcasts I do before noon, I feel like that's my black belt time. And I ate a really strong edible from the weed shop. Right before dinner. And after I ate it, I was like, shit, should I reconsidered it, but I'm just going to fucking flow with it. I don't care.
That's what I was thinking of lighting up too, just in case I'd be extra more trippy. But I chose not to because my wife made me work in the garden today. And she made me build a deck. She made me pull out. So we pulled those out, and then we donated them to a garden here in Tijuana, and then I built a deck. So I'm just a piece of crap right now.
Oh no, you're beat up. You kind of
yeah.
When the dog barked, Skype likes to cut out like really loud sounds. So when the dog barked, it cut your sound out. So we heard you were in the garden, and I'm assuming that you planted something and harvested something and gave it away. Is that what you said? We moved. We rent this house and we moved here. And they had these really ugly banana trees. Banana trees, palm trees, banana trees, and they weren't doing anything. So we started building a little herb garden and whatnot, and they were in the way, so we just took them out. Those things get serious too. They're like super stock. The big bamboo trees or big banana bamboo looking fuckers.
Well, we were watering them for a couple of days. We got the dirt really loose and just loose and wet. So it was pretty easy. But it was, hell, I'm not used to doing any manual work in a long time. So
yeah, it's good for you, right?
It is, yeah. It's good feeling like crap.
It makes you change your mental changes too, though, right? Not just your body feelings, but like the way you feel inside your head. Like, do you feel like some different sort of brain chemicals happening?
Oh, definitely. I think you begin to be more like a different kind of astronaut because your body, your brain is responding differently to or compensating for what your body is feeling. So it just gets more trippy, and then you're tired, but you're not really sleepy, and your mind is tired because it was really focused, and everything becomes a little hazy. But it's a good thing. It's like just tripping naturally.
Yeah, it's very strange. I started understanding some of those sensations when I started running a couple years ago. And just getting that runner's high, like understanding what that actually meant and really experiencing what it is. And then I just started training jiu-jitsu and kickboxing.
Really?
Yeah, and that's a whole nother level. Like I've never experienced expending that much energy in 1 hour. You know what I mean? Like it's insane. It changes you as a person, really.
snack, right? Natural tetrametamine, that nice little brain juice that are part of the brain that's back here. What's it called? Oh hell! I just brain farted. I don't
No,
remember.
I won't know the answer anyway. You can Google it really fast if you want to. Let's introduce you to the people that are watching live. Mr. Charles Glaubitz, ladies and gentlemen. They're clapping right now for you. Like I'm clapping.
Hey, how are you guys?
You and
Hello,
I just
everybody out there in upstream space.
you and I just recently met, actually, but we've shown our work together for over a decade or in some of the same venues and just hadn't crossed paths until last year, I guess, the end of last year.
Well, it was, I think, when it was 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when a bunch of artists in San Diego started showing together, started putting up shows, and specifically Tim McCormick and Joshua Krause at that space at what was I think it was Muse, or was it called the Muse? Or I'm making that up.
No, it was.
It was, yeah. I think you showed afterwards or before. I think you showed with Blaine Fontana and what other shows. I'm not really sure. I mean, it's 10 years ago, but it was like when something was actually happening in San Diego. It's like, oh, that's really cool. And then I started seeing your work. I think I saw it in Juxtapose, or saw you blogging at the Juxtapose site, or their old site. I just immediately became a fan. And then, hell, I was kind of happy to know, even though I didn't know you, that you lived in San Diego, or in the area, because nobody lives in San Diego. Because whoever lives in San Diego, it makes it big, leaves San Diego, because San Diego's kind of San Diego.
I've been talking about it lately. Like now more than ever, I could see myself getting up and bouncing. I'm not going to, but like I could easily see it happening given a couple if a couple circumstances fell into place. If it could happen. I could bounce.
Well, I bounced San Diego for Tijuana.
And you're coming to us live from TJ, right?
Yeah, I'm in Playas of Tijuana, live and uncensored from Mexico, and there hasn't been any gunshots.
No gunshots yet. That's something I want to talk to you about, but maybe a little bit later. Maybe we can get to that. But you and I eventually connected. We connected at Comic-Con actually last year. So the Comic-Con is coming up, so it was less than a year ago we met in person and talked about doing talking at your class. So you teach at City College. What's up? Go ahead.
I was teaching at City College.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, the semester we were there, which was fall, was my last semester. I got this opportunity to go and do some really easy commercial work in Spain for some pretty good money, and I just bailed. I think I'm taking it. So I just got back like a month ago, and they were pretty pissed at school because I had been teaching 10 years, but I always was being promised that they were going to open an illustration department, and I was going to be the department chair and whatnot, but around that time, we have the bad economics in the state of California. So then I just had to look out for myself and for my family.
What was the trip to Spain like? Had you been there before?
I had been there in 2005. It was 2005. Well, every year in Spain they have this art fair called Arco. And each year they invite a country to be showcased. So in 2005, Mexico was invited, and they had a show specifically for artists from Tijuana, and I showed in Spain. And then that's where I met my friend, who I'm currently working with, doing this project for this commercial project for this company down there.
So you've been doing commercial stuff for a long time, right?
Well, 12, 13 years as a graphic designer, illustrator. But I think at the same time that I'm doing commercial work, I've been doing my own work. It's what makes me happy. But it's haven't gotten over that hump where the personal work is enough for me to leave the commercial work in order to make it meet. It's like half and half. It's been half and half for a long time.
Yeah. And I think that was something we've talked about before, like trying to find that happy medium with doing commercial work and having it be as rewarding as doing the fine art, like trying to figure out a way to make the process be somewhat similar. Because I've talked about it on the podcast before, like sometimes doing commercial work, it turns into something different. Like all of a sudden this new set of rules and boundaries get placed on this thing that usually you have complete control of. And of course I could be projecting my need for control in making things, which is very possible. But I know that I find sort of a disconnect from having an art director say, we need this to look like this.
Yeah, I think it's a different type of mindset. I think I struggled for the first 5 or 6 years trying to combine my personal work with my illustration work for whatever reason. And then I just worked really hard to try to separate them. And now I kind of have like two different ways of working, which is my commercial work, which is more illustrative. And then my personal work, obviously it's illustrative, but it comes from a different place. It doesn't come from, I guess illustration work could be, speaking of small ideas, concepts such as, things that make our world go around and commercially and whatnot and so forth. And I think in the personal work, I'm just trying to dive into, I guess a friend of mine said your work is very existential. So I guess there are these ideas of existential, can't even spit that out, existentialism about why we're here. And then it gets really trippy. Then it becomes kind of like a coast-to-coast AM kind of idea of, I guess, everything. It becomes like a rule, a law of everything goes, everything is a possibility, everything that is a mythology is real. It's even more real when we believe into it. And so when I separated the commercial work and stop giving a fuck about being told what to do and what not to do, and stop selling my personal work as commercial work, I found that happy place. I could just focus on the two things separately. Might be kind of maybe a little schizophrenic, but it just works much more easier. It's just a different mindset. It's like, so how much money are you going to pay me? I'll please you. So this is what I'm doing for myself.
Yeah,
and that's me.
I've found that like pricing now is dependent upon how easy the people are to work with. If you're a pain in the ass to work with, I'm going to charge you 500 times more than what I would charge somebody who's really easy to work with.
Oh, I like that. I'm always like, well, if you want to really art direct the hell out of me, you got to pay me more.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like, okay, pay me more because I got to put up with your shit.
Well, right. Speaking of something not art directed, you just put out a new comic, a new book, right? Is it a book, comic? I think the issue before.
Yeah, it's kind of like a It's a comic book graphic novel. One thing that in the personal work when I started telling this story of these characters, these archetypes, and they started, they grew a life of their own, and I started telling their stories, and then it became really cosmic and quantic when each character would die and then would be rebirthed or reincarnated in a different type of character. And then I was painting these characters for 5 or 6 years, and I think in 2005 or six, it was telling the story of El Niño Burro, Donkey Boy. He took on a donkey suit, and he was kind of like this protagonist that was kind of like the punk, the rebel, the nonconformist, the anti-consumerist. Those were more my more punk rock days. I was anti everything, and he would represent all these ideals. But a funny thing happened was, and he would be like the lead to these stories. Every time we'd have a show, it would expand on this narrative. But he became kind of like a four, or I poured him out because he became like my top seller, and people wanted commission me to him, flipping the man off and whatnot, and this or that, and I was doing pretty good until one dude who I guess he had a lot of money, and he was like, "Oh, I want you to paint a picture of him skiing down this cabin I just bought for $1 million in Tahoe," and that's my way of giving the finger to the man, and kind of like realize he was I just made him into a whore, right? So it's like all the ideals that I was trying to that made him, I guess, were completely sold out. So I had a show in LA with Tim McCormick, Scott Saw, and Joshua Krause at Gallery 1988. And I did this story. I did a linear story, and I killed him off. And when he died, he reincarnated in nature. And then I was like, fuck. No more story. One character was called the gardener. It was this skinny guy with a huge Olmec head with a wrestling mask on, and then the other guy was Capitalist King, which was kind of like a Mickey Mouse skull and a skinny guy, and these two guys would fight for the control of capitalism, conquest, exploitation, and whatnot. And then at that time, I was pretty fucking angry, right?
Yeah.
I guess because I was painting this shit, and it was angry shit, and I was angry.
Yeah.
And then kind of figured out that they weren't opposites, right? They were complements. And I was beginning to read a lot of stuff into quantum physics, and had seen this talk by Deepak Chopra and Grant Morrison at Comic-Con in 2005, and it blew my fucking mind. And I started reading more and more, and kind of figured out the theories of where the Big Bang came from, and it was just two layers coming together that they melded into the infinite space of some atomic dimension until they touched each other and they expanded. So the whole world I had been painting for 6 years just exploded in Big Bang. I mean, shit, I can do anything I want now. I don't want to be angry anymore, right? I have my daughter. My first daughter was 4 years old. My wife and I were waiting for a second daughter, and I was like, we don't have to live being angry. So I kind of changed the whole story, and then I birthed this new character. It was called Indigo Child. Then I started getting into this new age ideas of a new cosmic race of children. And it just became a fucking story. And that book you have, it's like the third chapter from the beginning of that.
And so it's an ongoing series from there. That's interesting because I remember that character running around, like, and having that cuteness to it. And it's funny that it reminds you of Tijuana. For anyone that's ever been there, like, you don't even have to, like, you could just catch a glance of it. And that you had mentioned you're tuning in or being filmed here live from Tijuana. And recently in the news, there's been a lot of crazy shit going on with U.S.-Mexico relations. And so for even like a person like me, who I've been going to Tijuana since I was like 15, younger than that with my parents, but like I used to skip school and jump on the trolley and go hang out in Tijuana, right? And now even me, I don't want to go down there. Is it total insanity?
It's total insanity being bought by the media. I mean, check it out this way. I went to Spain, and everyone was fucking scared that I was from Tijuana. And my second day there, they had this documentary, and how.
I hope he's still there. He might be gone. No.
Exactly.
You're cutting in and out, my friend. You there? You should hang up and then call me back. There we go. My mug in there. I'll just have him not put the video on for this part. We know what he looks like. Hey, let's just do the phone and just leave your picture. We'll leave your painting up for the rest of this because I think the video slows it down a little bit. Can you hear me? Maybe not. Oh, here we go again. You there?
Yeah, sorry about that. Mexican internet.
That's so funny that you said that. Go ahead and you can turn your video off.
Okay.
And we'll leave your painting up there. Your painting is the icon. That way, I think the video slows it down a little bit.
Okay, that's cool.
Because we know what you look like now.
Yeah, ugly.
I had Skinner on the show just recently, and he said he had hijacked the internets from somewhere and said that they were Mexican internets.
Oh, okay.
And you just said you have Mexican internets too.
It sounds like it doesn't run at full capacity, and if it does for a couple of minutes, and then it's gone, and it comes back whenever it wants.
I was kind of giving him the business about his internets, and he felt insecure about it a little bit. I told him there's no need to feel insecure about your internets. You have no choices in it. But yeah, you cut out for a good portion of what you were saying there, unfortunately.
Well, I was saying I was back I was in Spain. That's like 3 months ago. I was freaked out about Tijuana, and it's like I've been living here for 11 years. My wife's been here for 20, and shit, obviously before we got married, we were all we did was party. All we did was hang out on the streets. All we did was party till late night, walk in the streets. Nothing has ever gone down. Now, obviously older with 2 girls, we don't party as much, but we'd still, hang out in the streets. And nothing has ever gone down. So I think it's like really secluded kind of thing. It's like it's a gang war. It's a gang war for control of the border. It's a gang war to see who crosses all the drugs for everybody in California who gets high and the shit they cross. It's the crazy thing about demand and supply, and these fuckers are fighting for the control of the border. The funny thing is, it's like, and this is my theory, and this, it's based on other guys' theories, but it's like the Mexican government sponsors like their drug dealers. So like each ruling party has like a sponsored drug dealer, right? And I think there's this battle between in Baja and Tijuana. Han Caron was governor, and he's from the PRI. My theory is he put in this different or sponsored this different type of drug dealers, and then he lost, and then the PAN won, and then now they're sponsoring their drug dealers, and they're just cleaning house. Right, so it's pretty crazy, but shit happens only like in the bad neighborhoods where they have their drug deals going down.
And so it's just a shift.
It's a power shift, yeah.
Yeah. And then back and forth. So it looks like it's just the continued violence over and over again, but it keeps just shifting back with the different presidential elections. It's kind of funny. It's not really that different in the United States. It's just a little more severe.
Yeah, I think it's more severe because these guys like to I don't know. It's part of the culture now. I mean, some people are really into the whole. This kind of sounds pretty funny, but it reminds me back in the '90s when the culture in the States was guns and bitches, right? Here it's like guns and boots, right? Guns and big trucks, guns and cowboy hats, guns and narco music, instead of being in rap. So it's kind of like the same crap that was happening up there is happening here, but I think just Mexicans can get a little bit more violent, maybe due to its culture, I guess. They cook people here in tubes of acid, in drums of acid. Found the pozolero in Ensenada a year ago, and this guy they would take all the bodies that they would execute, and he would put them in drums of acid, and they would call them the pozolero.
It's fucking crazy. What does it take for human beings to get to that disconnected level? And it seems like we see that in the worst of societies, in the most third world, for lack of a better term, type environments, that just the devastation that you see all the time around you just creates a numbness, right?
I think it creates a numbness, but I think they're all chasing the same thing. They're chasing cash. I think, we don't experience it. We don't experience it here in the States. I would say States because I'm not too far away from the good old U.S. But it's the same idea of going into war for oil. I mean, it's these guys work for a drug path, a drug mule to get the shit across to people. You can make a really odd parallel. Drugs and gasoline is kind of the same thing, right? These two wars and this fake assassination of this non-existent person.
Yeah, that's something we could maybe talk about. I've been having arguments and debates on the interwebs for the last week and a half, and it's actually caused me a lot of stress and unnecessary emotions and mental energies focused on something that I don't need to focus on. But I
thought it was hilarious watching the news and watching all these morons celebrate the death. This is where it gets really crazy, where talking about the numbness when they kill somebody and people celebrate like that's a good thing. Like killing now is a good thing because he killed other people, and the best this whole Christian idea of eye for an eye. It's it's pretty nutty. It's pretty out there. And that, and I guess all this celebration and this information on somebody we don't know if he's fucking dead or does even really exist to begin with, right? Remember back a couple of years they had these reports that the first photos of Osama bin Laden was like a photo collage of different Arabic Islamic people.
Yeah, and you know what? They just did another one of those type of like line up, guess the Osama. And look, I almost had to check myself there to say Osama instead of Obama. But they would like line up a bunch. Oh, I think I lost him again. Let's see, he's trying to reconnect. Just gonna try to tell a joke for the third time there. It's funny. Let's see, maybe I should hang up. No, he did it. What's up, buddy?
What's I think that's pretty funny that somebody probably hacked your computer, and every time we're about to talk about something, they shut us down or something.
I know, by saying Osama and Obama in the same sentence, it just shuts down the system.
That's probably the crash. But tell me, what's your feelings? I know that you're pretty extreme in your belief, and I guess I use the word extreme, but extreme in your beliefs that you don't believe a lot of this shit.
Yeah, well, I try not to believe anything at all. Like, I just try to keep ideas, really. But, you know, I have a hard time believing a group of people who have lied to us continuously over and over again. And what's really funny, I just posted up a link to the Bill Maher show that had Pat Tillman's brother on it. And I guess there's a documentary that came out about him. And he talks about how quickly the military covered up the fuck-ups. Whatever happened to that kid, or that man, really, because everybody else was a kid around him. But whatever happened to him, they ended up like burning his uniform. They burnt his journal. They got rid of his weapon. They did a whole bunch of like just removing evidence. And whenever I see somebody removing evidence without like an independent inspection of how things should go, like just telling me something is something, I typically don't believe it. Like, and then I said before in actually the last podcast, I think that like I don't even know that the man existed because I'm not in Afghanistan. I didn't burst into that house. I didn't see any of this happen. So I don't know if it did or didn't. And if I'm just going to believe a group of people that continually lie, then I feel like I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot.
There's no body, there's no photos. I remember like back when they offed Che Guevara, they made sure to take a lot of photos of his dead ass.
Same with Saddam. There was a video leak. And that's another creepy thing about like what people consider justice, because that's one of the things that scared me. Oh, he's gone again. Mexican internets probably sounds racist. Yeah, I'm gonna hang up this time. Maybe it'll go quick. No.
Sorry.
Yo, buddy.
What's up? Damn. Mexican internet.
I'm blaming it on the White House.
Okay. I'll do the same.
It's not Mexico's fault. I'm changing my opinion.
So you were saying shit. What were you saying? I just blanked out right there because I was pissed off at the computer.
Mostly that I don't believe people who lie to me, and then removing evidence. I kind of forget.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. The idea of justice, the idea.
Oh yeah. You were talking about people like celebrating and seeing how crazy it is, but like if you look at the man, and I don't want to justify any type of criminal activity. But if you look at the man's FBI file or like the wanted poster, it doesn't even say anything about September 11th. It talks about Tanzania, something he did there, and then I think the USS Cole was involved in the bombing, and then there's just like etc. like possibly involved in other things. So like you just see stuff like that, and then it's like everybody's mad about 9/11, and there isn't actually even much of a case besides these weird videos that seem to not make sense. And again, I don't know either way, but I know a bunch of people have died regardless over the last 10 years for no reason on both our soil and on foreign soil. And either way, it's some bullshit. And it seems like to blame it all on this one like ghost like figure is silly. And I talked about before. I think maybe just on Facebook, but Benazir Bhutto, who was the president of Pakistan before she was executed, she was in an interview saying that he was murdered in like 2002 or something. And then there's a lot of people who say that he was already like dying from liver diseases like around that same time.
I remember that.
And then it's like, dude straight worked for the CIA.
I was just gonna say that they do work for the CIA. The guy was trained by Daddy Bush back when he was one of the directors of the CIA. Also, the Bush family and the Bin Laden family have done business together since the 1960s.
And that's what's creepy too about the DNA situation. Like they're like, oh well, we got his son's DNA and his wife's DNA, and what the fuck? Where are you over there scraping fucking people's mouths and shit? Just because you say you got a piece of paper, like I could print out a DNA file for you in probably 10 minutes and just say it's somebody's. Who's gonna go match it up?
It's impossible. There's no real no skin cells. They're gone already.
It's so creepy, man.
And what freaks me out is like the capacity for people to like this is an actual fact. The guy was a CIA agent. How come the media doesn't like say we were screwed over by one of ours? We trained this motherfucker, and if it was actually him, he came over and fucked us over. How come that never comes out in the media? How come we focus on religion, focus on creed, on nationality, to like generate this case against, and it's not even one dude. It sounds to me when I look at the media, it's like a case against a whole fucking nation.
Well, not only that, but whenever things like this, like big weird shit happens like this, that is going to be like a media buzz for a long time, you got to kind of look at like the sixth page of the newspaper to see what's really going on sometimes. And what a lot of people don't realize is that the day before that, Gaddafi's son was killed, which I think has some sort of Geneva Convention implications, because I don't think he was any part of the militant aspect of it. Now, I could be totally wrong. I don't have the full story, but I know that he was killed the day before. That Saturday, possibly that Friday.
Yeah, they killed him and two of his kids, I think. It was... they aimed at one of Gaddafi's residences. He was in the house, but they missed him because he was another part of the house. But they off his kid, maybe his wife, but I think it's his son and his Gaddafi's nieces or nephews or whatever. So, now that you bring that up, I remember like the day September 11th happened. The news a day before, which was September 10, I guess. That's when the stock market had hit the lowest low since the Depression, and then all of a sudden we had what happened the next day, which is it was pretty eerie because I remember I was sleeping. I was still living in North Park, and I had this dream that like some evil dude was in the kitchen, and he wanted to talk to me, and he wanted to tell me something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I come in, he tells me that some shit was going to go down, and then I wake up the next day at 7 in the morning and watch the airplanes crash into the World Trade Centers. But a day before, and nobody remembers this because, the news on September 11th was such huge impact visually, the footage, the shit that happened, but a day before, the stock market was as low as it has ever been recorded since the Depression.
Yeah, so, it's real easy for for things to change. I mean those two things are extremes, obviously, but what also is interesting too is that in terms of timing, they just today, I think this morning, they had the drone missiles or the drone planes shot a bunch of missiles and killed 15 people in Pakistan, in some like en route somewhere. So like they killed a large group of people, and that's like that isn't that an act of war?
Well, that compromise is an act of war, but okay, they killed 15 people. Do you just think they randomly? It doesn't sound like you think of the U.S. military of it being precise. Actually,
yeah.
That's not true. Yeah, it's not a precise mechanical thing, but they shouldn't fuck with Pakistan because they got missiles and they're kind of nutty. Sorry to all your Pakistani friends out there, or my friends, but they're pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it goes pretty much unwavered in the public sphere of like not paying attention because there's this other thing. Like we got the whole guy. Now everything is great.
Well, and imagine if somebody sent a missile here in the States and killed 15 people. Imagine this shit that wouldn't go down. But since it happens in overseas in some different place to people we've deemed to be unworthy of being Westerners or whatever perception we have, the media has created of them, we don't care. But I bet you if it happened here, you would get all the rednecks running around in their four-wheel drives, shooting guns, wanting some extract some justice.
Well, I think that's sort of what we see, and we're seeing it in large groups of people. And one of the debates I had was that we shouldn't be celebrating the killing of somebody. And somebody is really mad that I was unable to accept that some people were happy about it. Like that I wasn't more understanding of people's joy.
Understanding of people's joy. That reminds me of that movie Happiness, where every people's happiness is really fucked up. And then you could say the same thing for the guys' joys riding those airplanes into the buildings, right?
Right.
But you make that argument to somebody who's red-blooded American, and that's a fist fight.
Well, that kind of brings up another thing that I want to talk about. The other issue that I have been debating on the internet was racism, which happened yesterday, and which timingly was on Cinco de Mayo. And so a friend of mine reposted I guess a comedian's bit, but like a paragraph of it. So basically, completely out of context from whatever the rest of the comedy set was. And I'm not exactly sure of the exact reference, but it was a whole thing. But the same idea. Like I was discussing how the eye for an eye, or the idea that they did something, so I have to do something is like juvenile. There's some sort of childish mentality about it, and it's almost like people don't realize that that just is a continuous cycle.
Oh, that it's like no, you're it. No, you're it. No, you're it. No, you're it. And they keep going back and forth, and it's endless. It's endless until somebody actually kills somebody else, and there's no more tagging to go around until they go find somebody else to tag, and then start another endless stupid cycle. But see, isn't that's religion based? And it's religion based, and this is how I trip out on religion. It's religion based on a religion that was created 3,000 and someone years ago in the desert, not here, in a different country, different geographical, socio-political structures, and it's implemented to the people who now live here, which makes no fucking sense because we didn't grow up in the desert. We didn't have the sun as a god, right? Well, right. It depends on region, I guess.
Or the spelling, which if you decide to use a U or an O.
Exactly. And it doesn't make any sense. I mean, here in Mexico, we have for our shitty country. And, Spaniards. And, we have Catholic religion, which is, it's just so bad. It's the whole idea of, coming into a country, do conquest, and then begin to force the people to believe into their own gods and whatnot and so forth. It doesn't make any sense. I can look at in Mexico and see why it's so fucked up. It's because its mythology is fucked up. Their gods, the indigenous people's gods, got screwed over by some dude carrying a cross who suffered for us, right? Who died for us. And that's not the mythology from here. We have a different kind of mythology. We have a different kind of geography. We have a different kind of different latitudes in around the Earth. And I really don't understand how people in the States, especially, and also I guess in Mexico also, but they flip out over religion, and then religion kind of becomes like this reason for racism, or both those two things are intertwined in a really odd way.
Yeah, and we have so many different ways, even beyond religion, of ways of separating ourselves, from our nationality to our skin tone to our eye color or to the clothes we wear or whatever.
Yeah, and that's pretty. I've always used this example to my students because when I was teaching in San Diego City College, I kind of called everybody out on what was happening when September 11 happened, and I was asking for them to ask their government to go for a peaceful path instead of do the same thing they've always done, which is do another war. And there were people who were getting so emotionally angry at me, and they were telling me to go back to my country. I love it when Americans do that. Go back to your country, as if everybody who was born there actually is from there.
Yeah,
but
it's funny you say that too, because like what I was going to say about religion, how the idea that Christianity has sort of caused assimilation throughout the world. We see it like in the pagans. In the Greek myths, and then in the conquest of Mexico, like that assimilation of Catholicism was fucking heavy.
Oh, it's the reason why it still survives today. It's the reason why it's like capitalism. Right? Capitalism gets all these subversive, subcultural movements that are, you could say, anti-capitalism. But then capitalism opens its arms and embraces them and it begins to sell them onto the culture, and then it becomes a thing. The same thing with religion. It's like, okay, these guys practice doing this, so we got to open our arms and embrace that, and make that part of our religion, So that it's like another huge melting pot, right? But the most screwed up thing is, it's like these stories don't even belong to them. Some dude was really smart, put them all together, and says, "This is the way how to control people. Put all their stories, of their own gods in here. Take out the name, give one image, and they'll believe you and they'll follow you." Romans.
Yeah, and it's happened throughout history. It's weird. So what do we have? What do we have to do? Do we have to have total assimilation all into just one thing, like the removal of all borders? Because that idea is scary to a lot of people. The idea of removing borders, because then they're concerned about like a one world government idea, like one whole power.
Well, I think one world governments suck because we keep electing these CEOs, these guys are exploiting people for them to be successful. I think when we change our consciousness to thinking that there's another form of commodity that's not money, and we begin to appreciate people who have are consciously more aware, not morals, because morals are useless. Moral values are ideas that are constructed from religion and whatnot, but consciousness, I mean, in the idea of making decisions and understanding consequences and repercussions from them, I wouldn't mind a one world government. Say we put the Dalai Lama as the head guy, I wouldn't mind that. But we put like Donald Trump or some other moron, and that's like, okay, same old shit. I don't want that. I'd strap myself. I'd strap some dynamite around myself and blow one of those fuckers up if that ever happened.
They're really going to shut us down with the Mexican internets now. We're done. Well, it's interesting because you could see some of those sort of ideas shifting in your work that you're making now, I think, from maybe the stuff you were making 10 years ago, which is like silly to even say out loud because obviously people who work, they're going to change in 10 years. I guess nobody can stay the same for that long, but some people can, I guess. But you are... I'm getting ready to do the show at Subtext on May 20th, so I'm priming everybody for a little bit of psychedelia before you come in after me and do the show in June, right?
Yeah.
What's the date on your show?
20-something. Let me Google it. I'm still working on stuff, and I'm already...
I have a flyer right here.
I have a flyer?
I do have a flyer. I'm going to put it on the... Well, I have my flyer. So, let me show that action. And then it says, you're June 24th to July 17th. And I've been meaning to... The Subtext Gallery website is subtextgallery.com. And you can find them on Facebook, too. But you're coming in after me. What's the name of your show? Do you have a title yet?
Yeah, it's called The Noosphere.
Say that again?
Noosphere. Noosphere. It's this idea. I think Russian philosopher came up in 1920s. He was talking about man's evolution. His first evolution is the geosphere, which is how the universe made the heavenly bodies, planets. And then these planets generated the biosphere. And then the next phase of our evolution is the noosphere, which is like, I guess to put it in a visual way, it's like Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey, when the baby gets born outside of the Earth, gains consciousness in space. So it's like us getting not being reborn, but being conscious at a higher level, uh, as us being, I guess, cells or antennas for the Earth. So this is what the geosphere birthed the biosphere for. So the noosphere is like this. Like another word would be a collective unconscious, where the psychic sphere, the mind sphere of all our ideas, all our creativity, all these. They also call them the Arkashic. I don't know if I pronounced that. Records.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Experiences of humanity. Yeah, all the experiences of humanity exist.
Uh-huh.
So
everything has a memory.
It exactly, it has a memory, and we are its mechanisms. We are the universe's part of the universe's form of experiencing time and space.
Nice. Well, yeah, I'm definitely going to prime everybody for that show the following month. Let me read to you what it says on the back of the flyer. My show's called Extrasensory.
I know. We think alike, as one of our students said. Remember that?
Yeah, we didn't talk about that at the beginning. I did a talk in your class when you were still a faculty member, and it ended up turning into, it was an illustration class, but it turned into a 3-hour discussion about the nature of reality. And that's sort of, I was right about at that shift in making things around there. So that was like the beginning, sort of, the making of this show. But I guess the sort of bio write-up thing says, spring is in the air and all of the senses are in high gear as we welcome our first solo exhibition with the artist and San Diego native Mike Maxwell. In a slight departure from his previous works, Extrasensory features looser brushstrokes that are very much influenced by psychedelics and the questioning of waking reality. Compositionally, the pieces in the show are heavily layered and extremely colorful with hints of abstraction. Maxwell's exploration for this body of work revolve heavily around the constant misleadings of our own senses and lack thereof. So, like, I'm questioning all these ideas of us being misled by our own minor senses, like sight and sound and touch and hearing and those sorts of things, and that thinking about the idea that we actually have more senses, we just aren't in tune to utilize them, and maybe that idea of an evolution of consciousness isn't adding of some sort of new sense in the way, like I explained to people, like, imagine if you stepped in dog shit and didn't have the sense of touch or the sense of smell, you wouldn't know it happened until you saw it. So, like, there's a minimalist amount, or the minimal amount of sensory observation that we have, and the idea that maybe we could utilize more is really enticing to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that all the five senses we believe, or how we measure our reality right now, are based on Newtonian physics, which are completely blown away by quantum physics, right? And Newtonian physics is like the physics of mechanical of our reality. Quantum physics, shit, we know now that there's itsy bitsy little thingies going around that we can't see, or we don't have, that sixth perception to understand how things work at that atomic level.
Sure, and there's a group of people as well that subscribe to the idea that the taking of certain hallucinogens allow you to sort of tap into some of those other senses.
Oh, you believe that too?
I don't know. I don't believe or disbelieve it, but I know it's a theory.
I do. I have for the past 10 years been surrounded by shamanic indigenous friends and people, and actually when the next round comes up, I will invite you to ayahuasca little meditation party is happening around in Baja, and it shouldn't be too far away from. I just gotta check the dates and with my friend, but they're bringing these shamans from South America, from Central America,
From Peru.
Peru. Yeah, come up and they do the ayahuasca beverage, and they guide you to begin to practice to perceive, taught to perceive. Right?
I'm hearing more and more people actually going down to Peru and like having these experiences sort of in like a resort environment of some type.
Really?
Maybe I'm using the term resort in a sort of a weird connotation, but they're going to a place like a lot of Americans. And maybe I don't know the environment. Maybe I'm just making things up.
A friend of mine just came back. He went to this detox center in the Amazons, Peru, where there was a shaman, psychologist, and a scientist. So they would go to this detox for 6 months. He wanted to stop smoking cigarettes, tobacco.
Uh-huh.
And they would give him ayahuasca every day. And then the psychologist would talk to him about his visions and whatnot. And then the scientist would measure what the shaman would give him in quantities and what would work for this or for that. And he only lasted like a month because he figured out that he wasn't only just addicted to tobacco or nicotine, but he was addicted to salt, to sugar, to fat and oil. Yeah. And he was insane, so insane that he was prohibited from eating grapefruit because this shit grows free in real life. And he went up there and he was telling me he was high on ayahuasca. And he was being followed by this black panther, and when he ate that fruit, that panther just tore him to shreds. And this all's happening in his psyche, in his mindscape and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? He didn't stop smoking, but he has less attraction to sugar now.
Yeah, that's good. Well, all that stuff is all mental. Like, it's funny. I think artists have a lot of time to sit down and be quiet and quiet the mind and have opportunities to deal with some of that like negativity or that own sort of your own ghost that owns your own skeleton in the closet that haunts people because they've done douchey shit in the past and they feel bad about it and they don't know how to express how they feel, so it manifests itself in these fears and anxieties and worries about things out in the real world. And that's what we have dreams. Ayahuasca and hallucinatory experiences are just the same thing as having dreams. It's a therapeutic experience, and a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of ways to get those experiences as well without even such an extreme. Because to go to the ayahuasca extreme, I think you need to have had some hallucinogenic experience for a good period of time because it's that serious, like at least I think for people to really be able to have an appreciation of what it is, like I was gonna do my first DMT session just recently, and actually a lot of this new work has to do with my recent salvia experiences as well.
Oh, I like salvia.
Salvia is really nice since it's so short and such a quick experience, but it's another one of those things that's so intense. We see these idiots on YouTube acting a fool because it's a really, really strong hallucinogen, like stronger than most things that people would take.
Oh, whatever it is that you're thinking of, your mind sees it.
Sure. And you gotta respect that shit and have the right mindset. If you're scared and are thinking about every bad thing you've done for the past 10 years, you're going to have a fucking panther chasing you down and tearing you to shreds, or, you're going to see those demons are going to manifest themselves in whatever you find to be scary.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think the thing is our society has preconditioned us not to, to fix all the ghosts face are ghosts, skeletons or demons. You know, it's like how to evade or escape them. But I was going to interject a while ago. Talking to these shamans, they were telling me that people who've had schizophrenic or epileptic seizures back in the day were the ones that were chosen to be next in lines as shamans. So these people who already had this extra capacity to dive into a different dimension or the people who had their psyche fractured, I guess, if you're schizo, but they would be trained and healed, and they would become the next sessions of shamans. And it's funny how our society, when we see people like that, we think they're fucking nutcases instead of quite the opposite, that they have this capacity to dive into this dimension that we don't have the capacity to.
Or, I sometimes break it down to as simple as a group of people who are dreaming while awake. That there isn't a whole lot of difference. Now, to define whatever that world is that happens while we're asleep, I'm not trying to even attempt that. But
well, it goes back. There's this idea, and this Aboriginal Australian idea of waking, right? Which is when we're actually alive is when we're fucking dreaming, and when we're this moment where we're conscious, it doesn't really exist. It's another form of dream manifestation.
Yeah, it's however you choose to whichever one you decide, really. That's and then the idea that there's things in this world that are unnatural. It's that same idea, that dream states and waking states are different, or that something is unnatural that exists in a natural world is funny.
Yeah, it's like there is no such thing as unnatural.
Yeah, at a quantum level, once you break it down, it's all the same fucking thing.
Right now, we're just exchanging particles with my computer and my table.
With the help of the motherfucking internets in the future.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, we sort of plugged your upcoming show. Let's get your website out there and your Twitters. My computer is running hot. It is upset with me right now.
Let's see. My website, which hasn't been updated in 3 years. I'm working on it, but I'm lagging.
Do what you gotta do.
It's Glaubitz.com, which is Mr. Glaubitz. And my Twitter account would be the same thing, Mr. Glaubitz, MrGlaubitz.
Cool. I think I squashed your .com, but you respelled it with the Twitter. And I'll do the blog that'll have all your links as well. And then your show is coming up June 24th.
26th, I think.
June 24th at Subtext.
June 24th. Yeah,
cool.
I think I'll probably see you in a couple of days.
Yeah, the show is in 2 weeks. You want to turn your screen on? We'll do internet dap, and we'll call it a night. Oh, he hung up on accident.
I done that then.
No, I've done that before. Don't worry about it. The other red button.
Exactly.
There it is. All right, brother. Thank you very much for taking the time to do the show. We do some internet knuckle daps up here.
Go.
There you go.
It'll get there.
There we go. Mexican internets.
Come on there, finally.
I gotcha.
Thank you so much, man, and I'll see you the 20th in San Diego, and have some actual psychedelic experiences.
No doubt. I'm looking forward to it.
Your work is kicking ass, and I'm looking forward to hang out.
Thanks, brother. You too. I'll see you later.
Okay, take care, man.
All right, late.
Cheers.
All right, that was my talk with Mr. Charles Glaubitz. I hope you enjoyed it.